Just wait 1 second. Okay, apparently it's live. You never know. You never know. Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you. Hello, everyone. This is Catherine Evans. She is she's someone special. Okay, she is a somatic practitioner, and she is trained in using trauma healing modalities to support women to move out of that busy brain that we all have and into the body to expand their capacity, abilities for life. Now, I know that speaking with every single one of you members, well, every single one of you ladies who has come through our doors to be in this group, I just know that we've all got some level of personal shit that we want to deal with and work through. Sorry, Catherine, I don't know if you know, but I swear a little bit. So
Me too.
today will be, I know, incredibly valuable for every single one of you ladies. And the beautiful thing about this group is it's full of women, so we all understand each other. So I want to introduce to you again, Catherine Evans. Catherine, thank you so much for being here and sharing your expertise with the group. I hope I kind of did you justice with the introduction. I always hate doing the introductions. I always feel like I just don't do anyone any justice.
You did a fabulous job. Thank you so much,
Oh,
Bianca, for having me here. I really appreciate it as well.
it is my pleasure. It is my pleasure. I've got back to back in guest expert slots this week, so it's been crazy, full of value. So I just know that we've got some good stuff to uncover. So I would love to just crack into it. I've got some questions for you. I'd love to have a little bit of a discussion and just share what you think would be very valuable for our ladies inside this group. So, really, where to start is I know that so many women in this group, they say, I know what to do. Bianca, I know what to do. Like, if I got a pound for every time someone said that, honestly, I wouldn't be here. Well, of course I would be. So they say, hey, I know what I want to do. They just don't, they can't seem to do it. So, from your perspective and from your expertise, what do you see typically that kind of goes on in the body and in the mind and the nervous system when we're sabotaging the things that we just want the most? Can you explain what's going on there?
Sure. So that can happen in any area of life, really. And the nervous system, that we have inside, and I know you talk to your people about the nervous system,
Yes.
it's wired to have us survive and to protect us. So sometimes when we've had experiences in our, I was going to say past life, but I mean early life and subsequent life, even in adulthood, things happen. And so we make mostly unconscious adaptations to kind of keep safe. And that's not something that the logical brain sorts out. It's something that happens in the body where that all of those somatic feelings and the felt sense of emotions and all of that kind of happens below the head. The head thinks about it a lot, but the body feels it. And when our nervous system is active, which it is all the time, then we have something in polyvagal theory is we have neuroception. And that is when our body, our nervous system scans the environment, and it can also come from our thoughts as well, for danger, for risk, for something that threatens our survival, either emotionally, physically, socially, or spiritually, is what I add to it because I feel that's all relevant. And
And
so
thank God, because it's been sorry to interrupt. Thank God, because we probably wouldn't be here having this conversation if we didn't have this, right?
yeah, yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I mean, just my personal opinion, I believe the self-sabotage comes, it's kind of like, I used to call it, like, when I worked in mental health, I used to call it the resistance wall. The resistance wall comes up, and we don't really know why it's there, but we can feel it. And it's a bit the same with self-sabotage,
Mm.
because we want that thing, we want X, but every time we move towards it, it's kind of can feel like one step forward, two steps back.
Mm.
And for me, in my work with women, we don't work very much with the logical head brain at all,
Hmm.
really. We go
Hmm.
straight to the felt sense of the body. So
Nice.
things can unravel without us knowing what's unraveling. And just to give, is it okay to give an example?
Yes, please do. Drop in as many examples as you can because we all need examples and stories, right?
Yeah. So one of my clients, she came in so they have a series of sessions in the program, but she came in for one of her sessions and she said, I'm really frustrated. I know I want to declutter my house. I'm sick of the mess. There's boxes everywhere. They've been there since we moved here 3 years ago, but I just can't get motivated. Every time I look at it, I just go, ah. And I said, okay, no worries. So let's just work with that a bit and see what happens. So we always establish safety in the body first, because if we have a safety resource, then if something traumatic or old or, intense comes up, that person has a resource to go back to so they're not drowning in their shit, as you call it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went into the session, we started the processing, which is just, sensing into the sensations of the body around that issue and just seeing what showed up. And they're always things like, I feel heat in my belly, or I can see a black cloud, or, it's never like a thinking kind of a response.
Mm.
And then we just kept doing that, sitting with each felt sense as it arose. And she left the session. And one of the things that's different about somatic sessions is the head brain can't really say, oh, well, that was a great session. I went from A to Z, so I'm good,
Mm.
because
Mm.
it's a different language for the somatic body. Anyway, she left. And then 2 weeks later, she messaged me and she said, I've done all the boxes. She said, I don't know what happened. She said,
Yeah.
but I just didn't feel any pressure. And I was just like, oh, I might do a box now. So
Amazing. So what
I
had
wonder if that,
happened? Sorry.
well, something shifted in her.
Mm-hmm.
So even though we don't have a logical explanation for it in terms of, she didn't tell me because it was a deeper experience than the logical brain. My guess is that sometimes when we want something and we want to do something or be something, then we don't make that goal. We get the self-sabotage, we don't quite get to that goal. We kind of tell ourselves off. So we
Mm.
start this conflict with ourselves, like we're kind of fighting against ourselves because we haven't done the thing. We tell ourselves off, we feel bad, we don't do the thing that we want to do. It's like a cycle.
Mm.
And my guess is that something in her released and that pressure was gone. So when she saw the box the next time, she just tuned into, yeah, I feel like doing a box. I'm going to do that now,
Mm. Mm.
rather than, you know, this business, like telling us something. That's what I guess it was, yeah.
Yeah, amazing. And it's very difficult when you're working with the subconscious to really pinpoint exactly what it is.
Yeah.
In a whole session, I kind of have this experience as well. Within a whole session, sometimes the client will go away and say, I don't know what shifted, but we've
Yes.
done some work. And that's exactly like you said.
Yes.
And I think this is just important to break down for those who maybe haven't really done some internal work or even some like heavy self-development or coaching. We have two parts to our brain. You've got the conscious and the
Mm.
subconscious, and many people argue there's many more parts to the brain. But the person that's having this conversation right now, like us two right now, when you're speaking with someone, that's your logical part of your brain typically, but the subconscious is always running in the background. And when you access the subconscious through practices like what you do there, Catherine, you're able to
Yes.
change the stories and the rule book and just all of the things that are driving your action that you can't even think
Mm.
about or don't even know. Would you say that's
Yeah,
relatively
definitely.
accurate?
And definitely. And there's left brain, right brain. Left brain's logical. Right
Mm,
brain is more somatic, really creative, all of those. So yeah, we switch between the two. Yeah. So it's
mm.
exactly similar to what you said. Yeah.
Amazing. So probably should have started this conversation. Can you explain like what a somatic practitioner as you are, what does somatic mean and what I should
So,
have started this call with that, but it's great. We've got some information, we've got some juice to tackle. But yeah, what does that mean?
so the easiest way that I can explain that is to give everyone an experience of that, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because it's
Absolutely.
kind of hard to explain because the logical brain's trying to understand it, but it's not that language. So
Hmm.
we'll just do a little exercise now, very
Yeah, I'd love to.
simple. So if you would like to, if you feel comfortable to close your eyes, then
Hmm.
everyone who's listening, do that now. And just place your hands comfortably in your lap. And then pick a hand, so either left or right. There's no right or wrong answer. It's just whatever one, you want to work with. And once you've picked which hand you want to work with, bring all of your attention as best as you can to that hand without losing the awareness of the outline of your body. And as you bring your focus even more into that hand, notice what sensations you are aware of. So, for example, everybody's different, by the way. There's no right or wrong, as I said, but you might feel warmth, or you might feel tightness or tenseness or coldness. So just of tingling. So just tune in and see what you are noticing about the hand that you've chosen. I'll just give you a moment for that. And usually our head brain will say, "What are we doing?" Well, that's okay. Just bring your focus back to your hand. And now what you can do is you can lift both hands like in a comfortable position and just notice, do they feel different or do they feel the same?
Do you want me to answer?
Have you got,
Shall I answer out loud, or did you want to
yeah,
keep me
yeah, yeah,
quiet?
yeah, absolutely.
Uh, the one that I had concentration on before I just asked the question felt a little bit heavier, but now it
Mm,
feels a little bit lighter.
yeah. So that just kind of demonstrates, and a lot of people will say that when they lift them, they feel different. So it's just a demonstration of when we really, if I hadn't said, focus on your hand, you wouldn't have probably noticed the sensations that you noticed. It's because your attention has come into the felt sense, is what we call it, the felt sense of your body. So you're noticing things that you wouldn't normally notice. And that's how a somatic session works.
Mm,
So we're coming
mm.
into the body, we're noticing sensations. Because as Gabor Mate says, I don't know if your people have heard of him, but he's a
I
doctor in
haven't.
Canada, trauma expert. I was going to say GP, it's not called GP in Canada, but medical practitioner, doctor in Canada who became a trauma therapist
Hmm.
after a long story, but anyway, he's an amazing man. He's about 80 now, but he's still doing amazing things. And he says trauma happens in the body, so we heal it in the body. And he also
Mm,
talks about big traumas and little traumas, and how big traumas are really obvious. So we know if we had a car crash and we know if we broke our leg.
mm,
But the subtle things like seeking comfort from a parent who turns away and we feel rejected,
mm,
they're the little T's, he calls those the little traumas. And they
mm,
all have an impact
mm,
on
mm.
us. And sometimes we know what that impact is and sometimes we don't. So when
Yeah,
we're going
that's
in,
sorry.
sorry.
No,
When
no.
we're going into the somatic body, we're going into the body to tune into those sensations and follow them.
Mm, mm. What I conversations that I have quite often is I don't have any trauma. I don't have any trauma in my life, but I think what we perceive as trauma is something that is totally life transforming in the way of maybe loss or grief or abuse or anything like that that's really shocking. But like you said, trauma can just be when you were a kid and you were asking for attention, maybe for your 10th drawing that day, to look at your 10th drawing and they said, like, leave me alone. And they were probably like, it wasn't meant with intention, it wasn't meant with malice.
No.
You were asking for attention, but just that one story, because, our programming is very selective, that then created this almost a minuscule trauma. So would I be right or wrong in saying that trauma doesn't have to be this huge thing to have an impact on your life?
Correct. That's why he talks about big traumas and little traumas.
Mm,
Not to minimize the little ones at all, because they all have an impact, but to explain that what he says is that um, it's not little traumas aren't what, sorry, the little traumas aren't what did happen. They're what didn't happen that should have happened.
hmm
And so, for example, unmet emotional needs, like if we're never allowed to show our emotions,
hmm
that has an impact of a little trauma, like it impacts us. So we
hmm
go out in the world and in our relation. I mean, that was true for me with my husband, really, because I had some emotional stuff, shit, as you say. And it took a long time for, I had like a resistance wall with talking about stuff because of my early experiences. And so that impacted my life. And I grew through it and healed through it.
hmm
But once I understood it, it was so much easier to work with it.
Amazing, amazing. So, um, moving on, like I know that you, in your content and the way that you work with women, you talk about moving out of this busy brain and into the body. So, for someone who's constantly overthinking, maybe like, for example, for my ladies, like overthinking about what I need to eat that week or what I need to eat that day or what are we having for dinner, right? This is very typical overthinking as well as what are they saying? Very people pleasy. We are women that need to lose weight. We love to people please, we do. So just this chronic overthinking in general, what does this look like or feel like? And why is it so important for healing?
Great question. So, what I've learned in the work that I've done with women and in my studying, as well, my own learning, is that the busy brain, that overthinking brain, first thing is we're raised in our heads. I always say that. All of our education, it's neck up, really, except for sport. But we're not taught about, meditation or being still or slowing down. It's all here. So
Mm,
that's the first thing. And the other thing is about overthinking is that generally when we overthink, we're not connected to our body. We're all up here. And I often talk about cobweb brain
hmm
because you know how cobweb it's all connected,
hmm
and we have
hmm
that thought and it goes to that thought and it goes to that thought around the cobweb, and it's all sticky and messy and it's all stuck together. And the way that we can begin to learn to change that pattern of thinking a lot, having that busy brain that never really stops, because it is exhausting. That's
mm,
exhausting. And I was very much, that was me. So I
mm,
know how exhausting it is. And so the very first step is to pause. And for some of us, that is the most difficult step.
mm. This is
But once,
the power in the pause. Sorry to interrupt. The power in the
yeah,
pause is phenomenal, and it's one of the things that I coach my clients. It's like if you can do anything, just pause.
yes, absolutely. Yeah. And if you can pause and then drop into the body, even if it's for a minute, a second, that connection to you as a whole person begins to reconnect.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm. Okay, so to move out of the busy body, we can take a pause. The busy brain, and into the body, we can take a pause. So that's essentially going to pause the overthinking. But how is this? How does this then transpire into like its importance for healing, for weight loss? How is that going to have a result?
So it won't happen overnight
Hmm
because we've been doing that busy brain stuff most of us for a very long time. So just repeat the question. How is that going to,
Sorry.
please?
Yeah, coming out of the busy brain and into the body, how is that gonna have an impact on healing?
Okay.
Like,
So
what's the
how it has an impact is, like Gable says, trauma happens in the body, so we heal it in the body. We're not going to heal it up here with more thinking, because
Yeah.
if that was the case, we would already be healed and we would already be calm, but it hasn't happened. So,
Amazing. Okay, so from what you're saying is the less you're thinking and stressing and the less chatter going on up here, the more times and the more quantity and quality. No, uh, the sorry, my brain's just totally gone. The longer and the more frequent times you can go into into your body is essentially meaning that you're spending more time with the opportunity to heal.
yes,
Sorry, did I understand that
yes, well
correctly?
done,
Okay,
well
cool.
done.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
just an example today, like this week I was working with clients in a challenge, and one of the ladies who came into that, she has some neurological mild has difficulty remembering words and things like that. But she's put, you have a conversation, you'd never notice, but she did share that with me. And one of the things she said was that she's because of her condition, she's been to the doctor to get medication for anxiety because her head never stops.
Mm,
And I'm not, I always advocate whatever support works, do it.
mm,
So this isn't, I'm not talking about medication because sometimes, we need it if we need it.
mm,
However, what happened in the 5 days was that on two occasions we did a practice, and both times when I asked, how was that? And she said, oh, I just feel calm and my head it's just
mm,
stopped. But
mm.
she didn't know that was possible because she hadn't never had an experience of dropping into her body.
Wow, that gives me goosebumps. I don't know. I'm having a feeling by the way that you present, like pre-framed that story. I have a feeling that you might be like me. I'm anti-medication when it's not needed. When we can work with the body, with nature, with the way that we're supposed to work, not the way that we've created, not this reality, not this internet that's sitting down at my desk, right? Not this. When we work with the way that we're supposed to, like these healing tools, we don't need medication. We don't also
And
need
that
these labels. Sorry, like the doctor's like, oh, you've got anxiety. So she's probably running around saying that she's got anxiety, making it worse because she's now believing that she's got anxiety
yeah.
when she needed to calm the brain. That's incredible.
Yeah, it is. And I never advise anyone on medication because that's not my area.
Yep.
But what I have noticed is that time and time again, people either that they learn how to calm, which they never thought was possible, and then they go back to their doctor and say, hey, can we look at this? Can we reduce this? Or can we do this? Because I'm able to calm myself now. Like it's so empowering
Mm,
to be able to do that.
mm. And they
Yeah.
say, no, I need to make my quota, carry on taking the drugs. Um, I'm just going to add a quick note here. If
Oh,
anyone is considering weight loss drugs, the injectables like Ozempic, Mounjaro, and whatever else out there, this is exactly what is going on. The only thing that that drug is doing is not a miracle cure, is exactly how we work through with our clients and exactly what Catherine's talking about is about quietening the brain. That's it,
mm,
right? These weight loss drugs, they don't do anything magic. They just tone the volume, they turn the volume down on the amount of times that you're thinking about food. That's it.
mm.
That's it. And so, working with a practitioner like Catherine, working with a coach like myself, you don't have to take these drugs for most problems. Say most because, there are some drugs that we need.
There's always the exception, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And different life circumstances, different, you know, I don't know. Things can get out of control. Sometimes
There's
we
the
just need a bit of
exception.
support and, whatever.
Yeah. I mean,
But
I don't
yes,
know if you've seen any of my stuff, but I'm very anti-supplement. I think the supplement industry just absolutely rinses us
yeah.
when most of the time you can just put your money somewhere else and not have to be subscribed to a pill. and get all the other benefits of doing the actual thing that you were supposed to be doing. Anyway, I'm very conscious of your time, and I've got a couple more questions. So
Sure,
would you mind if I
sure.
pressed ahead? Sorry,
Please, go
I'm
ahead.
very much a talker.
That's
Um,
great. No worries.
Motivation and discipline, right? In the
Yes.
diet industry, every woman believes that they just lack discipline or lack motivation.
Yeah.
I want to know why this this approach, like just hoping for more discipline, hoping for more motivation, why is this keeping them stuck? And is there a better way to move forward?
Well, it's kind of like waiting for the magic pill, isn't it?
Mm,
Waiting for the motivation to come. And I can talk about my experience once again working in mental health, with a client that I recall, and she wanted to go to yoga. She really wanted to go, but she couldn't get out the door. And it was because of that resistance wall that I talked about before.
mm,
And I started to say to her, it's just the resistance wall. Like we can
mm,
still get in the car with the resistance wall in place and we can still
mm,
go to yoga. And we did. And
mm,
once she understood that that wasn't like the resistance wall wasn't going to go away,
mm,
like what there was nothing magic that we could do about that. But also the resistance wall, especially in her case, was, I believe, nervous system related. There
mm,
was something in that action that made her nervous system go, hang on, this could be, this isn't a great idea. But once she went and she felt safe enough, then her nervous system was like, oh, okay, this is cool. I can do this.
well,
So motivation and discipline, I don't know, discipline, as you and I have talked about before, is kind of a more masculine structure, follow the plan. And the feminine is more like, I'm just going to be in tune, like my client with the decluttering. I'm just going to tune in and check in my intuition and see what feels right. But we kind of need both. Like if we're going to be balanced, we need both.
mm,
And so using a blend of those is really, I believe anyway, a great way to go because motivation generally function or is generally attached to extreme moving towards pleasure or moving away from pain. And I know from my own experience, having a health issue is very
mm,
motivating
mm.
because like there's a deadline or there's a, whatever. Um, but yeah, I don't know if that answered your question, but
Yeah, I guess a lot of women probably what I didn't explain is they get stuck just waiting for this shit to happen. I say like stop waiting for a wet fish to slap you in the face to do the thing, right?
yeah,
Our motivation comes from taking action and seeing the results of that action. But like we can use motivation, but quite often I think maybe that it's kind of the wrong approach because they're a limited resource. And from what you've said so far, from what I've picked up, and please correct me if I'm wrong here, that self-sabotage will always be there if there's an underlying story or resistance.
yeah,
So relying on discipline and motivation, yes, they might like give you a kick up the arse, but relying on that to hold you through a 6 month or 12-month journey, for example, um, is that naive almost of us to believe that when quite a lot of us have these the trauma stories, the internal beliefs that are going to be holding us back, which is when the self-sabotage kicks in.
yeah, I agree. Yeah. And, I mean, you would have already said this to your clients, but because we know that it could be a nervous system connected issue that we can't really explain with the logical brain, sometimes, I remember doing this myself, when I was doing swimming a couple of years ago. I walk now, but I used to do swimming. And the resistance was just over the top. So I used to say to myself, I just need to make it to the car in the
Mm,
garage. I just
mm,
need to get to the car. And
mm,
once I got to the car, I was driving and I'm there. So
mm,
breaking it down to minute little steps that just allows us our inside self to gradually get used to these ideas because motivation can come when we see some results as well,
Hmm.
and then we're drawn to that.
Yeah, 100%. Act before you feel motivated. It's like my
Yeah.
client tried to hit me the other day. We had a little laugh about it. She tried to hit me with, yes, okay, cool. I love that. I'm going to start Monday. And I went, no, you're fucking not. I was like, come on. Like, you're creating more resistance. Like, and she was like, oh, I didn't even hear myself say that. And sometimes, yeah, I see that. We create this resistance. I had another question for you, but I really would like to swap it around because something that's a little bit more burning for me
Oh.
is what is the, I don't think we've particularly answered this answer for you, what self-sabotage is and why it's there. Maybe we did, and my brain was doing a little skip-de-loo in my head, which quite often happens. But this resistance that we're getting, where is that coming from? Why is it there?
Well, it's a bit of a mystery, really. I mean, it could be that's not a very good answer, is it? But it could be a million things,
Okay, I was
like,
going to say, is it a mystery or is it like a mystery box?
well, if we've a mystery box, if we've got
Okay.
something stored that we don't actually know, can't identify it, then the resistance and the that self-sabotage could be coming from that.
Mm,
So like my client with the boxes, I mean, why she really wanted to do those boxes, but she just could not make herself. Like it was just felt it she could feel that resistance every single day she walked past that bedroom.
mm,
But something shifted and it was no she was no longer telling herself, I have to do the boxes, I have to do the boxes, I have to do the boxes. She kind of gave herself permission not to do them, and then the motivation came.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
So for her, it was um, permission.
Yeah, permission and permission to not tell herself off, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Almost like this aversion to this punishment that she was creating.
Yeah, because a lot of us have been raised on punishment.
Mm,
So we have a brain that works like that.
mm.
If
Oh,
we
my women will understand what that means. If I don't lose weight, I'm not going to the party, or if I don't do this, I can't have that. People rely on punishment. And do you think that's an effective way of getting what you want?
well, I know it wasn't effective with my children when I raised them. So I think discipline's very different to punishment. Discipline is learning on the go. Punishment is, inflicting something unpleasant or painful
Mm,
with the goal of stopping doing that thing.
mm,
But it's a very controversial topic, punishment versus discipline. But
mm,
um, I think when we've had stuff happen in our lives, especially in childhood, and we're punishing ourselves, or we're even with thoughts, even with words. Uh, I did an exercise recently with clients where on one we divided the page, and on one page they wrote, sorry, the things that my head says to myself, the inner critic. And then I got them to write on the opposite page what I call sacred self. What would sacred self say in that situation? And they looked at the two lists. So basically, they're flipping it into something supportive
mhm,
rather than telling themselves off. And I said, do you think a child would thrive with the inner critic voice? Or do you think they'd thrive with the support and encouragement? And they all went, oh, of course. But we do it to ourselves.
mm,
We do
mm,
it to ourselves. We give ourselves a hard time. When if we can just flip that thought in the moment, like I haven't done the boxes. Oh well, you know, they'll still be there tomorrow. I
mm.
can do them,
A
or whatever,
hundred percent.
whatever it is, like, or even if I've stuffed up the day with what I'm eating, I've lost the day. That's it. I'm going to give
I was
up.
just gonna say that. I was just gonna say the worst. I think when my clients, if they overeat or if they eat something that they didn't want to eat, so we don't say that they can or can't have. There's that
Mm.
anyone can eat whatever the they want, right? Everyone's a
Yeah.
human
Yeah.
being.
Yeah.
Just foods that they want to avoid when they're thinking logically, the foods that they want to avoid. When they eat those foods, it could be like cookies, cakes, donuts, whatever. Um, they don't they don't use compassion and they don't use curiosity.
Mm.
And what they do, this is when they start with me, not when they finish with me. And then what we do is we switch it from that punishment, shameful voice into the softer voice, right? Is that
Mm.
what you're saying? So not using that punishment, that motherly or fatherly like voice, switch it into compassion, because what would usually happen is then the fuck it moment. That's when they go and eat more. Whereas if you catch yourself in the moment, is what I hear you saying, is if you flip that thought in the moment, you can then change the trajectory of what's going to happen next.
And you can, you can flip it just to self-kindness, just to something kind,
Mm.
just being kind to ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Before we wrap up, Catherine, is there anything that you wanted to share with our audience that I probably didn't ask you about? Any wisdom nuggets?
The only thing really is that, I always say go slow, go gently, because we do give ourselves a hard time. And a lot of the time for women, this is just my personal belief and what I found with clients, whether we are a parent or whether we are at work, we're often not truly recognized or seen for exactly what we bring to the world. And
Hmm.
so, in addition to the self kindness, really acknowledging ourselves when we do well or when we've had a great day or we managed a difficult situation, to really connecting with ourselves. I always use hand on heart and just to find a pause in the day to say, to acknowledge the self, breathe into the heart, and really just saying, I did good. I did all right.
Hmm.
Or even if it didn't feel like you did good, just saying, I did my best today,
Hmm.
because that's all we can do. We can only do our best. And and that to me is really important, that we honor ourselves for that, because if we wait for someone else to give us that feedback or that praise, it may never come. So we need to do that for ourselves as women, and we need to do it for each other as women.
Mm. Amazing. So essentially, get out of the head and into the body. Always take a pause, speak kindly and with compassion, and make sure you give yourself that compassion and grace, because we can't expect anyone else to give it to us.
Yeah, and honor ourselves for what we bring and what we do and who we are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
imagine. Amazing. Like, exactly, be your authentic self.
Yes, absolutely.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
So if someone's realizing that this might be the missing piece for them, what would you say to encourage them to start exploring somatic work or trauma-informed work?
Either or. And shop around. I always say shop around. If it doesn't feel right, trust your intuition and try again, try someone
Mhm.
else, because it really matters who, well, as we know, in our job, in our businesses, but really matters who you go to. You need to be able to connect with them.
Mhm.
And if it's feeling like more pressure, it's probably not the person, because we want to go slow. We want to slow down to the body pace, not stay fast at the head pace.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
Amazing. Where can we find you?
I have a website that's having some repairs, but it's there. So it's just www.reclaimingherself.com,
Hmm.
and also on Facebook under Catherine Evans. And I've got a busy brain guide if you would like me to pass it on to your women.
Amazing. Yeah, I can drop it in the comments underneath the video and they can sign up. Thank you so much.
No worries.
Thank you.
Thanks
Is
so
there
much for
anything else that
having
I
me.
missed? Anything that you'd like to add?
Oh,
Final words.
I think that's it. Well, the
Amazing.
final word is that we women are amazing, and we just need to check in and tune into that a bit more often. Be kinder.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Speak to yourself like you would your best friend.
Yes.
Not the way that I speak to my best friend, but the way that most of us speak to our best friend. Thank you so much for coming in, Catherine. Look forward to jumping into maybe your group and doing a little
Yes.
bit of
Yes.
discussion there. So
Fabulous.
super excited. Take care, and I will see you soon.
Thank you so much. See you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.